All right, guys, day 12 of in all the other strokes, you use most of your forward thrust actually comes from your upper body, right? You do that with your arms. But in breaststroke, it's actually the opposite. Most of the forward thrust actually comes from your kick. And that for older swimmers, they're able to pick that up pretty quickly. But for younger swimmers who are used to dominating their whole stroke with their upper body, it's something that takes a little bit of time for them to adjust to because it's backwards. In their mind, it's backwards as to what swimming is. Swimming's, with your arms. You got to use your arms in order to swim. Well, in breaststroke, it's your legs. You got to be really efficient with your kick. Hang with it. It's a little bit tricky in order to get the timing down, but timing is everything in breaststroke. And it takes a little bit of an adjustment period. So don't get frustrated. Don't get frustrated with this. Just hang with it and it'll all start to make sense. I promise. I like the approach with the hands out in front like you're reading a book. I like having them put their hands forward this way. So I start them out in this position with their hands forward. Now the next motion, don't overlook this because with developing swimmers, sometimes they're a little bit confused on the arm motion. As it goes forward, the next motion is turning the hands outward. This is very important. It may be common sense if you're experienced, but with developing swimmers, I've had a lot of them, they start swimming like this. They just pull their arms apart with breaststroke and they don't have that outward turn. So I tell them to read the book, turn their hands outward. Then the next motion is a slower downward sweep that comes out, and once they turn the corner right here in front of them, once they turn the corner, everything speeds up and it's a race to get back to the streamline position. He actually just fixed his hair for this. Why shouldn't you use a broken pencil to write with?
Why should you not use a broken pencil? I don't know, why?
Because it's pointless.
Oh, good one.
I know. Isn't that great?
That was amazing.
And I like to do something called a breaststroke walk. And that's where all they do is they walk around in the shallow end for a couple minutes, and they just keep those hands out in front of their body and they run through the motion, the arm motion of the breaststroke arms. It's a little bit hard with the table here to do it complete, but they go through that motion and they just walk around. They can talk and cut up if they want to while they're walking around, but they're keeping their hands in front of their shoulders. What you don't want to do is have the kids pull way past their shoulders. They're actually not supposed to pull past their shoulders at all, but they keep their hands in a walking position. They're upright, so they're not pulling past their shoulders and they can keep it out in front. If they're laying down while they're working on this, a lot of times they have a hard time not pulling really big in the water for breaststroke, and they want to get that underwater swim pool, which is actually bad. You want to control it out in front. So they walk around with a breaststroke walk. They keep their hands out in front, and then we time it up with the kick. Now, the way that I like to approach the timing, and it works out pretty easy, is I like to remove all of the action that goes on with the breaststroke. And those of you that know breaststroke, if you've done it before, you know that your upper body comes up. It's got that forward drive that sends you forward, and there's a little bit of action that goes on from the shoulders within the stroke with the upward pop and then the forward drive. I get rid of that at the very beginning. I do something that's called a grandma breaststroke, and the reason I call that is like if you go to a rec center and grandma's swimming breaststroke, then she's trying to keep her hair dry, right? I guess it could be boy or girl. But that's the way I like to approach it, is grandma breaststroke. So if there's any grandmas out there, there's no offense to it. It's just that's the way we look at it, because it removes the motion from the stroke, the up and down motion, and it starts just timing up the hands and the kick. Afterwards, after they all do grandma breaststroke for a short, several 50s, and they get that timing down of the hands in front of the legs, and then we add the short axis teeter-totter that actually occurs, where the upper body will come up more, and then when it drives forward, the hips come up, because when your upper body comes up, your hips are going to sink. That's a bad position for breaststroke. Yes, I just changed shirts. And the reason I just changed shirts is because my camera messed up and it stopped doing audio. So now I got to finish with different shirt because I'd already changed it before I realized it stopped doing audio. All right, here we go. So what we were talking about was the hips sinking. When the upper body comes up in breaststroke, the hips are going to sink. they're gonna sink. And the reason you don't want your body to be in this sunken position while you're doing the stroke is because so much of the front edge of your body is actually exposed to the water, and it's more surface area, and it's actually gonna slow you down. So when you go forward with the stroke, when you come through with the arms, when you bring it forward, you gotta make sure that your hips pop up behind. So now that you're flat, parallel to the bottom of the pool, and that you're moving forward in a flat line. That's what you want. You can actually teeter a little bit beyond that if you want to. A lot of kids will think that it's just naturally built into the stroke. When I'm going forward, my hips will come up. Well, when you're first learning, and the advanced breaststrokers, they know that there has to be an actual kind of teeter-totter that occurs. When your upper body goes forward, your hips come up. They don't just naturally come up as a result of going forward. You actually have to make sure that they come up. It's a forceful motion that brings your hips up, and it creates like a teeter-totter in the water, and it's very important that that happens. All right, guys, that was it for today. I hope you guys did great at your practice. As always, if you got any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments below, and I will answer those as soon as I can. And I will catch you guys later. Bye. I hope you guys are having a lot of fun this summer. I know I'm having a lot of fun doing this. Don't forget to subscribe, to check out yesterday's episode down below. If you have any questions or comments, then please ask. I'll always try to help out in any way that I can. Best of luck, everybody.